have our on-screen star, Miss Victoria.
Yeah, she's gone for the day.
So it's just you and me, Heidi.
You and me, Sherwood.
After you. Hi there, we're here at Animal Care 101 today, out here at beautiful Bear Mountain with Linda Brewer and Heidi Saxton, and of course myself and Itzy, old Sherwood. And we're here to talk about how cows and horses. It's something that we haven't touched on before, but we thought because it's springtime and people might be going out for hikes or whatever out in Mother Nature, they might be coming across, you know, cows or horses, and we thought it'd be an opportune time to spend some time out here with Linda, and she could tell us about her cows and horses.
Yeah, and we're going to groom one of them.
All right, let's head on out.
So our cows and horses out here are family pets.
Well, kind of, you know, because we are a lodge and people come out here and stay, and we get a lot of people. Probably 80% of our people are urban city dwellers. I kind of have like my own little petting zoo. And
Which is great for the people because, again, like if they're urban dwellers, it gives them a chance to feel like
yeah. Oh, we forgot the carrots.
ranchers.
I'll go back and get them.
Okay. All right.
I'll
Yeah.
just run back.
We always can stop, and Billy's good at editing.
Sorry, Billy.
We're good at that stuff. How many horses do you have?
I have 3 horses. They're all Polish Arabs. This is my little standard poodle.
Okay.
And the Polish Arabs that I have, 2 of them were bred right up the road here at Bob Hall's place, Hotel Arabian. And the other one is one he bought on a travel trip with a buddy of his named Pete, who does the horse-drawn carriages at Christmas time. And they went back and he was purchased from a Mennonite farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got cows?
I have, these are Dexters.
Okay.
And they're a heritage breed. The Irish claim them. They're a small cow. They're dual purpose. They're a milk beef cow.
A milk beef cow.
You can milk them and you can eat them.
Okay.
And and this is Miss Dee Dee. She's in heat right now, and that's why I separated them. And this is my little steer Fernando. But you can see they aren't real big. And
When your guests come, how would they interact with the cows?
these cows are pretty spoiled, as you can see. What they're doing is begging. I always tell, you can see this woven wire on the fence, and the reason why for the woven wire is we allow dogs here.
Right.
And, you know, dogs love to chase cows.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a good thing because these things are pretty lethal.
Okay.
And not only are they lethal, they also kick. And yeah, these guys are much more fleet than you give them credit for.
Okay.
And so you know, and she's in heat right now, so we might have extracurricular activity here.
Okay, so
And-
is this the male, her partner?
No, it's actually her brother, and he's
Okay.
a steer, a castrated bull.
Okay. Okay.
And but he doesn't really know he's castrated.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
she doesn't know it either. You can tell.
Right.
And you need to be cautious because you know you can get hurt with those horns and you can get hurt with the feet. And if dogs chase them and they feel like if they had a young calf with them, they feel threatened, they're gonna probably go for you.
So basically, we need to tell our viewers that, you know, if they go out, you know, into our cattle land, which we have a lot around here, you know, they really need to be cautious of their dogs.
Yeah, very, because their
Because-
dogs could get really hurt.
Get really hurt, and we don't want that. Also, I don't know, possibly injure the cow by chasing it.
Right, well, they can run it into a fence and, you know, run it through a hole. This is our extracurricular. But these guys are pretty docile, but if they have, like all animals, ourselves included, like humans, if somebody's, you know, threatening your child, you're going to protect that child.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
bottom line. And
Are the, you know, how many of these, I guess it can be like a herd too. I mean, you can have a bunch of cows out there together.
yeah, and usually they're not going to mess with you unless, you know, they feel threatened in some way. But you still need to not let your dog chase them. You don't let your kids, you know, throw rocks at them or anything
Okay,
like
yeah,
that.
right.
And,
you gotta mind the kids, I guess, because you don't want mischievous type of a thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of the kids, I mean, if you get when you get the little kids out here, I mean, basically we say approach slowly.
Actually, we usually come down here, but then let me get a treat for these guys.
Okay.
Give you a little demo. We try to make it so they actually get to touch them because it's, kind of a fun thing.
Right. All right. Well, again, it's folks. It's that time of year to where it's almost Easter. The mountains are becoming more fun to go out to. So the more outdoors, and again, be aware of taking the dogs out there. And I think also this is possibly the calves have been dropped by now. Again, I'm not a rancher.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But I noticed that on a trip to Deming, I've seen the little calves out. So again, you probably want to be aware of like Linda said, with the cows if they have young ones around.
Come on, baby.
Because I imagine you stopping by the highway or something like that, and you see the cows and want to do the same thing.
Yeah, well, these guys are really tame. And wait till you see their little teeth. They got little pretty teeth.
So
I
when you
grabbed it.
feed them and when you give them treats, do you have to be cautious about them nipping you or biting you? Or?
No, or you might with these guys you might get licked to death. I mean, they're really well socialized and they're happy.
Have you ever had the local type of cattle out there? Any type of dealing?
No, I am totally fenced here. Now, like if you go up on Ellis Mesa, you probably are going to run into, because we are open range, and you're going to, she says, "Lou, I don't like carrots."
So if I were to come across cows in the wild or in the open range and I was out hiking, it would not be a good idea to try to feed them
No.
treats because these are very domesticated.
These are domesticated.
And then I could run into trouble if I
You
were
could
trying
run into big
to
trouble.
share my granola bar with them.
Yeah, and because also, they might not even know what you are. You might look like a predator to them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because a lot of cows, like when they're the further out we'll call it the grazing allotment, the less human contact they have, and then you are just another animal that they have to figure out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dietary wise, I know what is there like a special diet that these guys, or you
Well,
just buy
you know-
alfalfa hay, or?
Well, because I have horses, they do get alfalfa. They're pretty spoiled.
Uh-huh.
But I let them out probably. It depends on my guest situation. If I have elderly guests, I don't want them to mess with the gate and stuff.
Right.
And but they're probably out 4 or 5 times a week grazing.
Okay, so they can eat, I guess.
They eat grass, but they also are. Deer are not really. When we think of deer, we think of them out there on the meadow and stuff, but they're really browsers. They like leaves and bushes and stuff. And and these guys are the same way.
So they'll eat the vegetation that's not really on the ground per se, but
Well, they'll do both. They'll do
then.
both.
Okay.
And I got them because, as you can see when you came in, my fields are looking really good. And they didn't even make a dent in them last year.
So that's good fire mitigation then.
Yeah,
to
they
keep
think so.
Let the cows munch down the grass, and then you don't have to worry about the grass being mowed. Or
Well, the side yards up there, did you see how pretty and they are? We have never ever mowed them. The horses do that.
well, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I call that's my joke. That's one of my riding lawnmowers over there.
Okay.
So you say one of these is in heat. So is your intention to breed her? or-
Probably. I'm working with a fellow in El Paso right now that also has Dexter's, and he's going to bring his bull over here soon to the monastery.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to take Clarabelle and Dee Dee up there.
Okay.
And
monastery. I'm
Our Lady of Guadalupe Monastery on Little Walnut.
It's just right up over
Yeah.
the hill over here.
on Little Walnut.
Actually, it's on Owens Road.
Yeah.
Wonderful place to go
And it's
visit.
beautiful.
Wonderful.
It's probably got the best views in Grant County.
So how?
Yeah.
And the best coffee.
Yeah. They brew their own coffee there.
So is that past the camp picnic ground?
Just barely.
Okay.
Like if
Was
you,
where Owens Road is. You go just past the picnic ground, and then you turn up Owens Road and follow the signs to the monastery.
Okay.
And they have a noonday chant that is fabulous.
A noonday chant.
A noonday chant in the little chapel, and they sell wonderful coffee.
Yeah, and they used to have
Name Yoko
Dexter.
Ringe Kyo.
Yeah, sure.
They have several. They have several different types of coffee. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How many cows? Is there a limit to how many cows you can put on a certain
A piece
acre?
of property.
or-
Well, when you get your agricultural, I can't talk today. Your agricultural easement, every county in the state of New Mexico has a different acreage allotment. And here in Pixie, she's like, it should be about me. And
We're coming, just a minute.
and in Green County, it's 53 point either 1 or 3. I can't remember which it is, but it's 53 acres here
Per cow?
per cow.
Wow, that's a lot of land for a
Yeah,
cow.
and down in Hidalgo, it's closer like 80s and 90s or something.
I wish we could get similar requirements for people penning their dogs.
Yeah, there you go.
To have adequate
Yeah.
space for,
Or just so
Yeah.
many dogs per property?
yeah,
You know, I
depending on the size of the property
Right,
particularly.
Oh, okay. I
Thank
thought you. So if you have a 10-acre lot, you're not really allowed to have a cow.
Well, you are, I mean, because it's private land, but for what is recommended.
Okay.
And I have an agricultural easement, which means I have to, take care of my land. And so it works pretty well with these guys.
Okay.
And they are little. I mean,
Wait here, big boy.
Little and loud.
yeah. And I can come down here at feeding time and it sounds like a chorus. It's quite,
Oh, yeah.
it gives you quite a lot of pleasure.
Water. What kind of water? I mean, do they drink a lot
They
of water?
drink probably twice what a horse does.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Twice
'cause
what a horse does.
I
Okay.
fill up their tank on about twice what I do the girls' pen.
Okay.
And then we have a little mother and calf. Well, the calf is,
Okay.
he was born on Bastille Day, July 14th.
Oh, okay.
And he's the one that's bull. And
This was July last year.
yeah.
So he's not even a year old yet.
Right.
So, like, when puppies are born, they're sort of considered puppy at least until a year or 18 months. When a calf's born,
When does he become a cow?
yeah,
or
when
a
is
bull?
he a cow or a bull versus
I
being
don't
a
know
calf?
the answer to that. I always just kind of.
Which is the young? This is the younger.
That's the calf, and he's a
Okay.
bull calf right now, which means he still has his testicles.
Uh-huh.
And I guess in my farmerness, when he be getting cut, he's going to become a steer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then, but you did mention. I mean, like she's obviously the female here. You get milk and beef.
Right. Well, right now she's nursing him
Right.
still.
But
And he
could
isn't.
you get off the female cow? Can you get the beef part too?
You can do both. You can. They were really designed for small farms. They're much more popular back east because people have like 100 acres or 50 acres. And when I went to get cows for the lodge, I wanted a small cow so it wouldn't have a large impact on the land.
Okay.
And everybody wanted me to get the Mexican cow, but the more research I did on it, they're wily. They escape, and all these guys have years of domesticity bred
Do
into
you
them.
know what the popular cow is in this area, the Grant County?
I don't.
Okay.
And but these guys, I don't have to ever search for them. If I had them
Really?
out today, they would be back at 3 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah. Reliable.
Yeah, totally.
So do you ever get milk from them to use here at the
I
lodge?
don't, because there's so many FDA rules concerning milk. And in fact, if I butcher one of these guys and I want it for the lodge, it has to go to a USDA slaughterhouse with a USDA inspector, like the big old stamp. And that the closest one is Moriarty.
Moriarty. So if I'm just an average guy here and I want to butcher my cow, I
You're
really
okay.
can't.
No, you can't.
Oh, but because you tied in with a restaurant and
Right.
the public,
Right.
that's where the discrepancy comes in.
Exactly.
So, okay.
Exactly.
All
So
right,
if you're selling to the public, it has to be USDA. And the sad thing, and this is a little political commentary here, but the sad thing is these smaller mobile slaughter or butchers or that come to your place, they're more humane, they're cleaner.
Right.
It really is kind
Well,
of
it's a personal touch, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's not
I
a
think
production line.
I think I read an article that you just did talking about that, which it made perfectly good sense. I mean, the experience of being transported someplace,
and terrifying.
and being terrified that whole time. You'd think it'd be much more humane to have something come here and be peaceful and relaxing and
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you work really hard to not have, hormones in your beef. And then, you stress them out. So what are you getting? You're getting a negative hormone. It's really counterintuitive.
Okay.
Well, I love to eat meat, but I can't look at this cow and picture it as my meal. It's just too sweet.
Well, Clarabelle thanks you for that.
I eat beef, but I don't eat cows.
I hear you. Well, I'm kind of that same way. I lived in Europe for a while, and they love horse meat in Europe. And, we just are inured to that.
Speaking of the two, I'm a novice when it comes to the meat part.
Yeah.
I know in cows they talk about marbling.
Hey.
And
Marbling is fat. Yes, what marbling is. It's
fat.
It's like when you get that cut of pot roast, and you see the fat going through it. That is the marbling, and that comes. A lot of times they get marbling. That's what feedlots are all about: getting grain and fat in the meat.
Okay.
And that's why they always say if they're grass fed, they're more lean and all that kind of stuff. And so you want marbling for flavor.
Flavor.
You may not want it for your
Well,
health.
I'm totally wrong then. I thought you wanted marbling in the cows because basically it was a tenderer meat.
Well, it is because
should
it's
be,
oil. It's oil. That's the fat. It is.
Okay.
It
Fat's
is.
always been.
Yeah.
But then you get it into horses. Horses don't have any fat, or am I wrong?
Well, I think some horses can get a little.
You can get a horse fat then.
Well, I think you can get horse fat pretty easy.
Well, I know we do eat venison, and it's a very lean meat, but there is still marbling in certain areas, and there is fat on there.
And I think, I'm not a scientist, but I think if you don't have some fat, that's what your nerve sheaths are made of, is fat. So
Okay.
you kind of need some for your basic health.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So basically, that's why the Europeans are the horse. I mean,
Well,
to
they
me,
just
it's
don't
not
have the romance with the horse that we
Right.
do. They grew up eating it,
right.
and we did.
Flavor-wise.
It's probably the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not the same. I mean, everybody talks about the difference between venison and elk and then ibex,
Buffalo.
buffalo, and so they're all different, but they, it's a lot of that's horse and alligator. Yeah, well, we're white meat and dark meat chicken.
Sure.
Okay.
I think the horses are getting a little jealous of our time.
Okay. Well, let's walk over and check out our horses here.
Country as Silver City is, it still is city, and there are a lot of young children and adults that haven't been exposed to horses or cows or other livestock animals.
Yeah, we have really fabulous chickens too.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you use your own eggs here?
Yeah,
Can
we
you use
do.
your own eggs? Oh,
we
good.
can use our own eggs.
Are they free roaming? Is that the term?
No, mine are fancy chickens, and I've got quite a few predators out here.
I can
I have
imagine.
eagles and hawks and cougars, and I have never, knock on wood, had a bear here, but Bear Mountain Road had a chicken coop devastated by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and I live just, as a crow flies, I
Uh-huh.
live just up on Little Walnut. And
Oh.
we had a mountain lion
Yeah.
recently.
Hey, would you quit picking on that little dog?
I'm going to put Itzy over on my other side.
Now this is Z. Her real name's Zinnia, but I never liked that too much, so I call her the Divine Miss Z.
Zinnia is in the flower?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she's a Polish Arab. She's a Silver City Polish Arab. Both of her parents were up in Oxford after.
Oh, okay.
And how close is Poland to Arabia?
Well, what it is the history of the Polish Arab was that they brought him back to Poland, and they have the oldest registry in the world of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know it sounds kind of like an oxymoron or something. And I guess the thing that fascinates me the most is in WW2, everybody stole them. I mean, the Russians stole them from the Polish, the Germans
wow.
stole them from the Polish, and ultimately when Patton went into Berlin, they had pictures of during the Blitz people holding the stallions down, and they were going to slaughter them because they didn't think they could take care of them. And a young officer under Patton said, "These are really important horses." and he really saved them.
So they made a
wow.
special effort
Yeah.
to help the horse out.
Wow.
Yeah, and I never really knew about him until I moved here. I grew up with racehorses in Morgan's, and but a lot of people, like your relatives, have had him for years, and they do endurance racing,
Yeah.
and this is probably one of the kindest girls you'll ever know. She's just
Okay,
a
well
sweetie.
let's talk a little bit about etiquette then.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let me get a carrot and we'll do a demo.
okay.
Well, let's go up here because I'll show you how to choke. And when you're leading a horse, you're going to have it here. You're not going to choke them because they don't like that any more than you would like it. And I like to have them at my shoulder.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so I can see what's going on. Like if they spooked at Sandy over there, I would be normal. Hi guys.
So does a horse lead on the left or the right, or does it matter?
She'll do either. It's kind of my preference. You know how you have one side you like better than the other? And I'm very fortunate. Now my horses will, like when I have the horses in, the cows out, they'll chase the cows around.
They'll chase the cows around. Is it a jealousy thing, you think?
No, it's just fun.
It's fun. Okay.
It's
the
not
horse-
a natural herding or roundup or anything
Well,
like that?
they
'cause it's-
think it is. That's what they tell me. Back up. You're doing a demo. You got to stay there. Okay.
Says, I
So-
want the carrot. I love carrots. She said.
And when you have a carrot and it's long like this, you want to break it in half because you don't want it to get stuck in their throat.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And then,
not to give them the whole thing. Oh, okay.
yeah. And you want to have your hand out flat,
Uh-huh.
and she's going to do a slower demo.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
And she says, I'm a professional carrot eater. Watch me.
Oh, okay. So again, it's cautious, but your hand's flat.
Flat because if they get this motion going, and they can't stop it. So you could lose. That's why you see old cowboys with missing their fingerprints.
Because they didn't.
Yeah.
They let their fingers get into the mouth. Okay.
These feel like carrots to their mouth.
Oh, okay. All
So
right,
they're
all right.
eating the carrot and they're eating your fingers by mistake.
Okay. All right. All right. So,
And so, you know, when you got your horse tied up. And so you're going to always check when you get here in New Mexico. I learned this is a New Mexico thing, and I think it's way cool. You know, I grew up with hoof picks, but I also grew up where the soil was moist.
okay.
And here it becomes concrete.
Okay.
Yep, the clay. That's why we have
Yeah.
the clay festival.
And so when you're doing this, when you're going to check your horse's hoof, you're going to go all the way down the leg so she knows what you're doing. Because you don't want her to spook and be on top of
I've
her.
heard that term spooking. I didn't really know what
See,
they
and
meant
look
by
at that.
it. Okay, and that's just build up from the corral.
Yeah.
Now, if they were out free roaming, out,
Oh, they'd still get stuff in
and
there.
they still get stuff in there, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter then. They just
And
get
so you
fed.
want to clean it out because what it is just like if it was your hoof
Uh-huh.
and there was a stone or something in there.
Okay.
Because this is living down there.
How tender are their feet?
Well, you know, horseshoers, like if, say they get a stone bruise or something, they have these little clippers and they go clip, clip, and then they can figure out where it's tender.
Okay.
So they can hurt themselves.
But are their hooves tender to begin with, or I mean, the theory behind horseshoeing is to protect the bottom of the horse feet, or
I think it's
to
a
give 'em-
protective. Well, like Sandy, she has a Rocky Mountain horse. She does not believe in shoeing her horses, and it's just two different camps.
Right.
I'm an Ohio, Kentucky kid, and I think with these rocks and everything, my camp says that you want shoes. Now, I get these horses shot every 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Wow,
Okay.
that's real frequent.
And if I'm riding all the time, this shoe will look paper thin.
Really?
And I'll get you one over here that, remember when we had the mud?
So if I wanted to just own a horse, oh wow, that is thin. If I wanted to own a horse, that would be a huge cost consideration.
It is. We're very
Along
fortunate.
with feeding and
Yeah, feeding. We get really, really good hay here. It comes a lot. Well, the hay I get comes out of Safford, Arizona, and I get it from H&S or JD's, one of the two. And because I got a lot on my plate, I do have them deliver it, so it makes it a little bit more expensive.
So an expense of owning a horse. I mean, obviously cows it sounds like they're pretty self-sufficient. I mean, you got to give them water.
Well, you still have to vaccinate them and be able to take them to the vet.
You take a cow to a vet or have a vet come.
You always need to, I do a clinic once a year so everybody gets vaccinated at the same time, and that way I don't have to think about it.
Okay.
And,
do you do the horses at the same time? Okay. Are they similar
dogs.
diseases?
No.
Okay.
No.
Cows get certain diseases, horses get other
Yeah.
kinds. Oh, that,
And dogs and cats also
yeah,
get
exactly.
completely different diseases
Yeah.
as well.
okay.
And so, you know, but when you have like this much livestock, it just behooves you not to have to, or at least behooves me, maybe that's it, to think like, did I get that animal vaccinated? So if you do it once a year, then you kind of know where you are. You know what I mean? And that's just it's a lazy factor.
Well, and then does the veterinarian come out here and do it, so you
Yeah.
don't have to load everybody up and crate
Right.
everybody up.
Do
Yeah.
horses get rabies?
They can get rabies. In
They
fact,
can get
I get these guys. A lot of people don't,
Okay.
but we have a lot of foreign horses, you know,
Right.
coming and going. So I get every single
What
vaccination.
about the
there.
cows?
And that I don't know. I've never had them vaccinated.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But again, as we talk about rabies on this program, I mean, we got skunks that definitely have rabies,
Yeah,
and they're in
foxes.
contact with the wildlife.
Yeah.
You know, also with your
Yeah,
varmints are the same
and I
thing.
was told that we lose a horse in Green County, and I really don't know if this is true, still true, but we used to lose a horse a year to lightning and also to rattlesnake bites.
Wow.
I know the rattlesnakes. I've
Yeah.
heard that. You know, and that's it. That would be another thing that we'd like to touch on again this time of year. If you go out with your cow, then start to be aware of the rattlesnakes. I mean, I think they're pretty much in their dormant period right now
Oh, we
because it's
just
cool.
we saw one here just recently. It wasn't a rattle, but anytime it's 60 degrees.
60 degrees. Okay.
That's the time to come out and get some sun.
Because Barbara and my wife and I were wondering about that, and I said, well, it's still too cold, but 60 degrees, that's something people should know about. 60 degrees or above, snakes start to move. Smooth. Yeah, okay.
Smoothly move.
And the other thing about, you know, when you're around horses, that's the spooking thing. You said what it is horses are flea animals. That's how they survive in the world. By running away from trouble, not
Okay.
into trouble. And so a horse, if they get afraid, they get agitated, and they just want to exit stage left.
Okay, so those are the things that folks you should look for when you come across a horse.
And these are big animals. I mean, you know, my cows are probably around 700 pounds, and these are around 1,000 pounds. And then other horses, you know, usually like if you buy worming medicine, it goes up to 1,200. So that's kind of, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of count on that. These happen to be a little bit smaller of a horse.
Okay.
And
So basically, you know, I mean, we really appreciate you spending time with us to go over this, and the etiquette, you know, basically approach with caution, obviously, but you know, I mean, you know.
And don't get in, you with a horse, like you'll be walking up to it, and they might be fine, but then when you get to here, they might go, oh, this is a little too much, and they might go off to the side, they might go through you. You need to be aware. And like if you were grooming this horse, you always kind of let him know where you are, and you never want to be back here. So if I was doing the tail, I would be over to here, because these are
Out
very
of the line
powerful.
of fire.
Well, like I know, and we talk about on a program how to read a dog, or so, you know, the ears are down, or is there stance. Is there kind of a general read on a horse?
Horses, definitely people read their ears.
Look at their ears,
And
okay.
she has a tendency of not having her ear. There she goes. And but she's likes her afternoon nap.
Okay. Well, if their ears, I mean, is there a way to look at the ear pointed or down?
Now
or?
see this one. If you were riding her and these were both down, you would say, "Oh, she's a little grumpy with me."
Okay.
This particular horse is and Pixie's the same way, is very attuned to the rider. And sometimes she'll have one ear up and one ear down, so she's listening to you with this one and driving with the other one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I have always wondered what the signs are.
But
again.
if they're up, they're happy usually.
If they're up, they're happy.
And they're alert. And
Is there any? I know like for a dog, if it's got a stiff tail or his ears are lowered, they're in an aggressive stance.
Well,
do
with
horses ever get in
Well, these guys get aggressive with the cows, and what happens? They're Arabs, and so one of the things about Arabs is they put their tail up and prance around and look great, and that's what these guys do. They prance around and then
The show off.
Yeah, and then they look at those cows, and they get their butts under and they go for it.
Really? Okay. Okay.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And but you just want to always be cautious that you don't get trampled. You just don't want one of these guys to step on you.
So they're opposite of dogs. Dogs will attack you.
I-
Horses don't really
Well,
come
there's,
run and attack you.
I know many stories, not so much about people, but there is some people stories that, you know, if a horse has been abused or and has gotten away with some stuff,
Right.
I've seen them pick up people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with dogs, you know, they can be very, we had a horse when I was a kid that was like, oh, I'm the nicest horse in the world, come here little dog. And the horse would back further into his paddock and the dog would come in and he'd go for him. So it's
A
not,
trickster.
yeah.
Part coyote.
So you have to realize that they are thinking animals just like you are.
Thinking animal. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Again, your cows are just your cows here. I mean, it's not a free open range for the other cow
totally
guys.
fenced.
Okay,
Yeah.
they have their own territory
Yeah.
that they got to keep on.
Yeah.
Okay, this is and then again birding. I mean, this is an excellent place.
Yeah,
for,
we're actually hosting the Southwest Grant County Bird Show, and they're going to have a luncheon connected with it and a bird watching hike in April.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again,
That'll be great.
that's
Yeah.
great for our
Yeah.
viewers that we got, you know, something like that going. And then you did mention you've had eagles out here. Is that
We've
correct?
had eagles. I have about 30 resident ravens. We have Montezuma quail. We have, it depends on, you know, who's migrating through, but
Yeah.
we have pinon.
We are actually one of the better known fly-throughs.
Yes.
Yeah, across the nations, I think. We're
Yeah.
so lucky that, you know, the Grant County has just really got a lot of birds certain times of the year, which is really good. You probably get the hummingbirds and such
We
too.
do.
Okay. You know, so
Yeah, and we
basically,
put up feeders for them. Not tons of them, but, you know, enough that...
yeah, they'll take over. Hummingbirds have a voracious appetite.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful place out here.
Oh,
Very
thank
beautiful.
Yeah.
you
Well,
so
thank you for
much.
sharing time.
Well, thank you.
I think
Thanks
our
for
time is
coming
about
out.
up, Billy.
Way up, he says.
Okay, well, Billy.
Well, you gotta come look at my cute chickens.
Okay, well, let's take a quick look at the chickens.
I lost my rooster yet.
To natural causes.
Yeah, if I hadn't been here, I would have blamed somebody.
How old do roosters get?
I don't know. Like,
Okay.
everybody asks me that, and I,
Oh my.
yeah, aren't these guys? Aren't my girls pretty? They got little pantalones. They're
Little bloomers.
yeah, exactly. And my rooster was really handsome. He was about 2 foot tall, and I think he just died of a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I heard some weird flapping, and then he fell over.
So how many eggs do you get daily off of them?
In the summer, these guys do pretty well. They do about 1 a day. And right now, they're molting a little bit. You can see that extra feather in there. And when they're molting, they don't lay. They got all their energies in feather production. And since I lost my rooster, I am thinking that I'll just get some more girls.
So I know in the Philippines, a delicacy
Is
is to allow the egg to
Oh, right.
start to
Mature?
mature.
They call it
Yeah, and so you get like a sort of undeveloped chicken in there, and it's a delicacy to eat it like that with the undeveloped chicken in there. And I'm a very adventurous eater, and I would love to try it at least once.
Okay, you can do my
Okay,
share.
me
All right,
too. We're all
sweetie,
giving them
yes,
to you.
you can have my egg.
It's probably quite yummy.
Look at how cute they have.
they
They have like little poofy bloomer pants.
They crack me up. So,
They are beautiful, very iridescent. Very iridescent.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. And thanks again, Linda.
well, thank
for-
you.
Yeah, thank you.
having us out
It
here
was
today.
great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Victoria will probably be back with us next time. She had an emergency she had to take care of. So.
Look, and Dusty said, I should have been in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got more. So we'll plan a future trip out here again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would
go
be
over
nice.
the growing and maybe whatever else we can come up
Well,
with.
we can do some basic saddling and how to lead, and you can learn. I always tell people, you know, when you're looking at a horse and like thinking you may buy it or whatever, the first thing you need to do is just take it on a lead, take it a walk. You can learn a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
And we can talk about that.
Okay. Well, you know, we always kind of ended on a happy note. And I was wondering, and here's what I heard, you know. Do you know what cows do for entertainment?
No.
They go to the movies. All right, you like that one. One more for the road, okay. Why did the farmer fence in his steer?
Why?
Because he had a big stake in him and he didn't want it to lose it.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Cut. Cut. We're done.
All right, folks, you guys have a
Way
good
done.
Goodbye from Bear Mountain.